A few people on. Should we get started? And it's 1 minute past 8, so let's get started. So welcome everyone to Taylor to Dentist again with myself, Jazz Gill, and Grant McCarry. So we've got an amazing guest here. I've known this guy for so long. He's such an amazing person. And I've been looking at his website today, and he's got a wonderful website as well, by the way, both of them, Botox Training Club and Dental Property Club. So get on there. But I'm just going to see what I'm going to listen. I'm going to read out what it says on this website, which is quite funny. Walking into a room, you can't help but notice Dr. Harry Singh. It's not just his broad smile and rugby player stature that makes him stand out from the crowd, but his effervescence and
thank you, Dad,
shines out and draws you in. I read that, I couldn't stop laughing. It's so Harry Singh, but he's such a genius in everything he does. He's an entrepreneur, clinician, trainer, author, speaker, multiple business owner, both on property. I love his marketing tips that he's doing right now. He does every day in the morning. He puts out these 3 marketing tips. I'm really listening to those. But
you're the only one that likes them.
I'm the only one. I know. No one else is on there except me. It's just like you might as well just video call me. It'll be more.
Yeah. We do an OnlyFans account, me and you.
That's right. No, but please welcome Harry. He's an absolute great guy. I've got a few stories to tell. I'm sure he's going to share some of those stories over the next hour. Please also, it is an hour long. Put lots of questions in the chat, either in the chat box or you can put them in the questions box. So fire away lots of questions. I'll put them to Harry and we'll try answering them live for you as well. So that box is there for you. And but please put it your hands together or give it all for Harry. So Harry, take it away. I want to ask you a few things. So give me a bit of background first and why you do what you do. Where does all this passion come from and fire and this energy? You know, how does it all happen?
I think it's probably more stereotypical in terms of parents. When I was growing up, parents came from over India and they had 2 jobs for like 30 to 40 years, working normal factory work 9 to 5 and then working in another factory 6 to 10. And I saw that work ethic in terms of what they did. And as you know, it's not what you say to people, it's what you do that they follow. So I always had that work ethic, and linked to my personality. My wife hates it. I just get bored too easily. I'll never be going on a beach holiday. 1, I don't need a suntan, and 2, I can't swim, and 3, I just get so bored there. So I always got to be doing something, and it's that old adage. I know it sounds corny, but if you love what you do, I work 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day, but time just flies by because I just love what I'm doing.
Do you know what? I love the fact that your GDC number is 72684 and mine's 73367. I look on people's ages now by their GDC numbers. How sad is that? How old are you, Harry, anyway? I know it's 40 plus VAT. Is that 44, are you?
48. I know. Yeah, that's the Indian VAT you just added on. So 48 December. It's quite funny. The kids said to me, "Oh, happy birthday. You're halfway through your life." I go, "Thanks a lot. Trying to kill me off."
I mean, you know, the funny thing was, because I'm down in Somerset, before this sort of marketing thing happened for me, I didn't know many dentists. And I always used to see online, they used to ask about Botox. And it was always some guy called Bobby Davro at Ascot that always used to be mentioned. And it was suddenly around 2002, 2003, suddenly your name started to come up. And now your name seems to dominate when it comes to who the hell's any good at doing Botox courses. So how the hell, between 2002, did you manage to get that type of following? I mean, you have got a massive following. Big respect to you, by the way, for that. But you have managed to get a really good following and people who are really supporting your journey. So what's happened between 2002 and now to suddenly, for me to see online that Bobby Davro Ascot, you've just completely taken over? What's gone on?
It was actually accidental because what I did, I started doing facial aesthetics, really enjoyed it, and I had no intention of teaching it. And then dentist said to me, "Okay, you made it work." But there was a scary fact that one of the insurance companies said 80% of dentists give up facial aesthetics after the training within a year because they haven't got enough patients. So I made it work, and also not many dentists give up dentistry to do either property or facial aesthetics or whatever career they choose. So I had a lot of requests, and it's always about value. Always give, like you guys, or with your platinum program, always give more than what the patient, whether it's a patient, dentist, delegate, as paid. If you over deliver, as we know, word of mouth is the strongest referral scheme.
Yeah.
So you can spend money on Facebook ads, organic, SEO, pay-per-click, fancy websites, Facebook, etc. But word of mouth is going to be key. So I always overvalued, over-delivered, gave more. Also, when you go into a market that's dominated by other people, you've got what's your angle? So people don't think about an angle. What can you do that no one else is doing? And what we started off with, there was no support. Everyone's copying it now, but at that time when I started training, no one was giving any free support. You either had to pay for it or you would go bugger off, go on my next course. So we offered free unlimited support and for the dentists, and that made the biggest difference because we had a private WhatsApp group, private Facebook groups like you guys do. And then people said, okay, go to Harry because he helps you. He's not just after your money. It's not just about the day, it's about the post workshop. And we all been on clinical course. I remember doing Invisalign years ago. And am I allowed to mention Invisalign? So I did Invisalign years ago.
Mention what you want, don't worry.
Actually, no, I changed it. I did 6 months Smile and Jazz were teaching, and it was so. I never implemented the way there. All I remember was the drinks at the bar. That was the best part.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
Course.
Yeah. So as you know, it's not about the day, the clinical teaching. That's got to be top notch. But it's what happens after you leave any training. The critical element to success.
I mean, so have you do no dentistry? Have you left dentistry and you just do fish lips and frozen foreheads?
Yeah, it's quite funny because when I gave up dentistry, people automatically assume you got struck off. So I used to just play around with them. Go, yeah, I got struck off. They go, what happened? Go, I slept with my nurse. They go, really? Go, yeah, the nurse was a man. And they look at you and they go, they actually believe you half the time. So not many dentists would give up dentistry, but yeah, I gave up 2012.
Gosh.
And what I wanted to do on my last day is get my worst patients, put them all in the waiting room and give them the 2-finger salute and walk out.
Yeah. I think one thing with you, Harry, which everyone talks about is your post-course support. And people recommend you and people talk about you all the time. No one offers what you offer. And you offer it with such a passion as well. Now, I know you said you love what you do, you love your passion. How do you manage that with your family life? I know you got 2 kids as well, a boy and a girl. So how does the missus feel about that and the kids? Because you're constantly working from what I see.
Yeah, it's coming from that place of trust, and she knows I'm a bit crazy, so she just lets me get on with it there. So as long as I'm obviously doing ethical business, and I still spend time. I'm very regimental. I should have been a sergeant major. Every other of my days allocated. So I would say like 7 to 9 is family time, 10 to 12 is webinar content, etc. You just got pencil every other, and family time is blocked off. Date nights or
love the date nights. Brilliant.
Yeah. As long as it's not with the wife, that's fine. They're the best date nights.
As long as all those women don't meet each other, we're okay.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, it's been regimental. So allocate time. So what I do, I talk about the 5 Fs. So you've got to have time for family, faith, fitness, finances, fun, and you're juggling those balls all the time. And you can't drop any balls. So you've got to allocate similar time. So have fun. We always have to have fun. Faith is like a role model for me, or religious to my kids. Fitness, as you know, you want to live as long as possible, have the highest energy. Family, spending time with family. So looking at the 5 Fs and balancing all that out. But yeah, I'm very strict with my time. So if I've got family time, there's no phones, no social media. I'm not multitasking. Multitasking is a bit of a fad, especially for men. We cannot multitask. Every time you get distracted, you'll lose focus on trying to get back to it.
Mm-hmm. No,
they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
No.
I mean, when you what's the part of dentistry that you miss though when you gave that up? I mean, that's a massive part of your life that you studied for, but what's the biggest part of dentistry that you miss itself? Or is there any part of it, or did you shut the door and go, great, I'm off?
No, it's quite the only part I miss. People think I'm joking. Is endo. I used to love endo.
All right, we're ending this. We're ending it. Well, thanks very much tonight, Harry.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
Maybe I like poking small holes. I don't know, but that I was doing there. So, and I was
5 Fs.
Yeah. So no, I used to do NHS endo. There's only one palatal canal. There's no other canals available. So, but no, I was so close to doing an MSc in Eastman. I went for a day, and a guy just shifted me up. He goes, "Your life will be dedicated, taken over by endo. Can you connect to that?" I don't know. But no, I do miss endo because the access cavity, finding it, obturating, etc. That's the only part I miss. But I'm still, because we do facial surgery, we still got the team. If I wasn't doing facial surgery, I would have missed the team. Because if I was just doing property can make you a lot of money, but it's quite a lonely business. You don't see a team, you're not working with people day in, day out. So because we still got the facial aesthetic clinics, then we're still building up our team, we've still got assistants, receptionists, but yeah, endo.
Good Lord.
You're a real people's person. I mean, that's what you're saying. Like, property can be really lonely, but initially, did the property side come first? Because I know you did fantastic. I went on your property course, a 3-day one where you're sort of locked in and I had to spend 3 days with you. It was scary.
And 3 nights, you've got about the nights.
And nights as well. I know it was scary. It was but it's a great course. I learned so much from there and bought lots of properties thanks to you. But at the end of it all, did that come first? Before, is that what brought the capital investment in, and then you got into the Botox more afterwards, or which order was it in?
Yeah, property came on really first. I qualified in 96, sound like a typical dentist, and I started investing in property around 99, 2000. Because I knew I couldn't do dentistry for 40, 50 years at the rate I was going. I was going to get burnt out, stressed out. And also the life I was leading was overeating, over drinking, not seeing the wife. That's the best bits. And then
you haven't changed in that department, Harry. I've had quite a few drinks with you at the bar. You haven't changed.
You can still outdrink me now. I've fallen back there. But no, property was in the background. I built that up. So it's your bread and butter buy-to-let properties. It's slow and steady. And then as that portfolio and cash flow built up, I could reduce my commitment to dentistry. And I could have continued with dentistry because when you don't need the money from your day job, you find a passion, you love it because you can choose the kind of patients, the type of dentistry you want to do. But facial aesthetics, I found much more appealing. Patients wanted to see you, they appreciated what you did. They obviously like cosmetic dentistry and short-term ortho cases. People want to be there, and they would never say, "I hate the dentist," nothing personal. So, as I say, I'll probably work harder now than when in my early years, but because I enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work.
Sure.
Well, can I jump straight in? I want to know a couple of things, and that is, how the hell do you market Botox and filler? In-house, out-house, how do you make, or how do you get, which is the bit I love, is the marketing bit. What do you do to get those patients to the door? And I think a lot of the listeners will want to know how they can, right, tomorrow morning, I've got to do something. I want more facial aesthetic patients. Go. This is your bit.
Okay, so if you've got existing dental patients, this is the one that's going to make you the most conversions, least amount of money, least amount of time, that I guarantee you only 1% of dentists do it. And I've been preaching about this for 10, 20 years. At the end of every single dental appointment, sit your patient down. If you've got a consultation room, sit them there. If you haven't, sit them up in the dental chair and say, let's just say we've got Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, I know you won't be interested, but to just let you know, we started off in facial aesthetics. If you do know anyone interested, here's 5 of my cards. So you don't insult them.
I love that. So
That's brilliant.
I'm going to write that down. I love
I'm writing this down, by the way. We're recording this.
Just say that for the viewers one more time.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It only works if you've got Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, we can move that on the side, but we'll be able to play with that.
Yeah, Jazz will say Mrs. Patel.
I'm in Slough, yeah, I've got no Mrs. Jones there.
So every single dental patient, it takes you 1 minute to say, Mrs. Jones, I know you won't be interested. So you don't want to insult them, because if they're interested, they'll say, actually, I am. Mrs. Jones, I know you won't be interested. Just to let you know, we started off in facial aesthetics, Botox fillers. Here's 5 of our cards. If you do know anyone interested, please pass them around. If they're interested, they'll say, actually, I want to know more. If they're not, they will know at least 5 people that have it done. You've got your 5 new patients.
I bloody love that. Absolutely love that.
That is brilliant. We are recording this, and we'll put the link on the Facebook group. So if you want to make notes on this, is fantastic. We'll
right, and just do some more. That's a good one. Any more?
That's a good one, Dan. So like Botox fillers, you're like a drug dealer. You have to get people hooked. So my first practice, I gave all the treatments free of charge to all the nurses. And I said to them, they're going to, so I learned this from Breaking Bad, by the way. So I gave it free to all the nurses. And in 3 or 4 months' time, they're going to come in and say, I want my Botox. It's okay. As long as you referred 5 of your friends, you'll get the Botox free again in 4 months' time. And every 4 months, they've got to find 5 new friends. They always found 5 new friends.
I love this. This is brilliant. These are
So did you give a discount to their friends?
No, the friends pay the normal charge, but the nurse or the team member gets it free all the time because they're hooked.
The team
One
member
nurse
gets it
is
free.
going around town kicking the crap out of other people to drag 5 people in, forcing them to give you money for Botox.
Sorry?
So they're dragging their friends in, forcing
Yeah.
them to have Botox so they can get a freebie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it.
That's brilliant.
And it's quite funny. We had one of the nurses years ago goes, "Oh, I've only got 4 friends," and we had a WhatsApp group, and she was WhatsApping saying, "Has anyone got a spare friend that can let me borrow?" So those are the 2. If you just do those 2, you will have a flood of patients.
Do you ever work with gyms or hairdressers or people like that? Do you ever strategic alliances with people who have got the sort of same customer base but different business? Is that something
Yeah,
that you...
definitely. Yeah. So what you want to do, then the next stage is obviously going to be more time consuming, more investment. So that's how to plan your existing patients. I'll answer that. The other thing is definitely at open events, facial aesthetics, because when people see the treatment, they realize they think it's going to be painful, loads of blood, look quite scary. But when they actually see the procedure, now they actually say, oh, they realize how quick it was going to be, how fine the needles are. Obviously, pick one of your team members that's not a needlephobic or hemophilic, and you have problems. But organize that open evening where it's not just about Botox facial aesthetics, because they may not want to come because in case they see their friends. So organize it with a ortho implants or teeth whitening. So in case they do bump into their friends, no one knows what they're coming in for.
I like that. That's a great idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, because otherwise it's a bit better now, but people still don't want other people to know.
Yeah.
So they could combine it with one of your dental cells. Normally teeth whitening or ortho works quite well. But then strategic alliances, work out where your patients are already spending their money, what salons, restaurants, clubs, gyms, personal trainers, image consultants that they go to, and we just have a strategic alliance. You've got to be careful with financial incentives. So we just have a referral scheme. So we say we'll plug you in our newsletter, tell our patients about your services, and vice versa. They tell their clients about our services. And what we did, we had a 10 years younger strategic club. So we had the best beautician in beauty salon, best hairdresser, image consultant, personal trainer, life coach. And we would organize an event in each other's venues once a month. So 1 month would be at my dental practice. They would invite their top 10 clients. So the image consultant, the life coach, personal trainer, I would do a mini presentation. Then I've got 50 new patients to market to. Then the following month, we'll go to the hairdressers. They'll do their talk. I invite my top 10 dental patients. It's free, massive value to them. They've got 40, 50 patients to market to. Obviously, then they'll start chat to me as well.
That's a great idea. That's fantastic. So how did you set that up? How did you start setting that up? Like, do you go to the gyms and the beauticians? Did you go there?
Yeah, one of my patients was a hairdresser, and we just started talking. We would have focus evenings. So what we would do is have a focus evening, just invite we want proactive people. So I booked the local Indian curry restaurant, and then I invited 3 hairdressers, 3 beauty salon, 3 life coaches, and only one of them's going to turn up. They're going to be proactive. They're not going to give up the evening. So that's who to work with, and we just set it up on a monthly basis.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
There's a great
They all want to help you, but if they're not interactive, proactive, this way you filter them out.
There's a question that's coming up. I don't know if you want to answer it, but it's out there. Harry, what's the difference with you and Dr. Big Bob?
Bobby Davro.
I've got smaller biceps and chest pecs.
All right, fair enough. Humble Harry. No, that's good. I'm going to jump quickly into properties. Another question's come up, and you might want to explain what this is as well first. Some people may not know. Do you do no money down or joint venture deals?
Yeah, so there's numerous creative strategies in property, and what people don't understand is they think, and I used to be the same when I first started investing in property. I go, these people have got 50 properties, they must be millionaires, they must have loads of cash in the bank. But there's so many creative strategies. Actually, the UK is quite behind America and Australia, where you can buy properties with no money down. They're called lease options, where there's going to be a lot of that once we get a crash or recession. My best deals, unfortunately, were done in 2007, 2008, where there was negative equity. So negative equity means that the mortgage value is higher than the property value. So let's say the example is, unfortunately, they lose their job, they can't keep the mortgage payment. They'll go to the estate agent first, say, okay, your house is worth 200,000, your mortgage is 250,000, we can't help you. But what we can do is lease option. It's a bit like when you lease dental chair. What you do, you're paying a monthly fee, and at the end of the term, you have options to buy it, return it back, or upgrade. You can do that with a house. So a £200,000 house with a £250,000 mortgage, they're not going to accept 200,000 because they got 50 grand shortfall. We're not going to pay more than 200,000. So we do a lease option where they move out. We agree to buy it at, say, 260,000 at some time in the future. So they move out, we rent the property, and we take over their mortgage payment. So let's say their mortgage was £600 a month. We know we can rent it for £1,000. We put no deposit, no mortgage, £400 cash flow. We wait 7 to 10 years. It's gone up to 300,000. Then we can exercise our option to buy at 260,000. They clear their mortgage to 50, and we've got 40 grand equity. So. And there's numerous strategies like that in terms of you just got to be creative. It's a bit like dentistry. What you are is a problem solver. So I don't call myself a property investor. I'm a problem solver. What's their problem? Negative equity, structural problems, dated house. How can I help them?
I like that. I like it.
Without jumping about too much, because I want to get onto the property, because I've got a load of questions, personal questions. Well, not very personal questions. I'm just dabbling in it. How much do you charge for Botox and filler?
So for 3 areas, we charge £250. Lip fillers £275.
Say that again.
250 for Botox.
3 areas.
And, 3 areas, and then £275 for lip fillers.
For lip fillers. And are you into these massive lips when they come in and they say they want to look like, stupid?
Like a fish or like a baboon's ass? No, what we do. So because we're quite high premium prices, we don't attract those kind of patients, those Towie, Instagram, etc. So they will go to the cheap. So they will go to the non-medics, beauticians, etc.
Yeah.
So the actual beauticians are doing me a favor, is they're actually filtering out all the crap. So we don't want to see those kind of patients. And
what type of filler and what type of Botox do you use?
So Botox, I use Azelor.
Is that 50? I'm asking really boring questions. I'm really sorry to all the people listening, but I think some people want to know Azelor, and that's 50 units, is it?
Well, it's a different. So that you can't. 1 unit of Botox is not the same as 1 unit of Azelor. So Azelor comes in 125 Baywood units.
Yeah.
But one vial of Azelor will cost you about between £45 and £50, and that's enough for 3 areas.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot cheaper than Botox, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. The only people that use Botox, if you're loaded, is like the Gucci of. But Azelor works exactly the same. Botox, obviously, everyone knows that because it was the first one on the market.
Yeah.
Not 99% of practitioners will be using Azelor. What
about the marketing and the advertising side of it? Because they all come in saying that they want Botox. So then at which point do you tell them this isn't Botox, this is this?
Yeah, you have to tell them. So one, it's a bit like when people say they want Invisalign. So we give them a choice. So one, we tell them it's on our consent form, and we verbally tell them that we're not using Botox. Because there was a case many, many moons ago. 2 sisters went to a doctor in London. He didn't use Botox. They were happy with the results. Nothing went wrong. They later found out it wasn't Botox. They sued the doctor and they won. So we always verbally and on a consent form circle what brand we're using. If the patient says, and we want Botox, a couple of things. One, we offer a guarantee with all our Botox treatments, toxin treatments. So we guarantee the results, for example, for 3 months. So, but they may think you're using an inferior product. Because we're guaranteeing it, I've never had a patient ask me, why are you not using Botox? So I think if I wasn't giving that guarantee, we would get more questions. If we did get more questions, I would say, okay, we can use Botox. I've got it in the fridge. It's going to be £500. What do you want to do? And I guarantee you, they'll say, I'll use Odlor.
And what filler do you use?
Tearcell, Dioxane.
Right.
That's cheaper than Juvederm, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, same again. Anything by Allergan, which is Botox and Juvederm, is quite highly priced.
Yeah.
So, and obviously it's quite hard because people use what they did when they did the training, and they normally stick to that product. But yeah, Allergan products are quite expensive.
With regards to the paperwork, you mentioned the consent form. So people who could come to your course, do you give them all the paperwork side of things as well, so they can just go there and they'll have everything ready?
Yeah, so we got something called a BTC University. So it's a folder with all the paperwork they would require. So patient information leaflets, consent forms, treatment record forms, post-op instructions. Also, it's got all the resources that they learned during the course. So in case they forget a technique or want to refresh their knowledge, they've got slides and videos of the procedure.
So it's not just that's what I was trying to get across there. So it's not just coming to the course. You've got everything afterwards, the paperwork, the support. They can always ask you questions. So all of that side is there, and you're always passionate. You're always working, basically. You don't stop. And you've got lots of trainers as well, haven't you? You've got quite a few trainers now. Apart from yourself, there's other trainers.
Yeah, so it's expanding, and that's what I believe in, is obviously never naming the business after yourself, because it's going to be hard to scale up. And also you always got to look at the end in mind. How are you going to sell that business if it's named after you and you're the only person? Because if you're the only person working there, it's just a job. It's not a business. You're trading time for money. So my intention is always to get other people passionate. We're getting old, me and Grant. We need younger people, fresh blood.
Notice you said just your name there, Grant. I just want to point out. Yeah,
it was pretty good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, because that's must have topped up his Botox. His forehead's looking quite smooth.
Yeah, I know. Look.
It is really. I actually was thinking mine's looking very creased.
It's the spotlight. That's all it is.
So what made you? I mean, I went on. I always like to have a little nosy at people that come on and talk to us. And you've written about 5 books as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you've written. So are they? What? There's a few property books and a few facial aesthetic books as well. Has that been? Why have you done that? For business reasons? To have a standing in the profession? What was the reasons for writing 5 books? Not just one.
Yeah, so the first couple of books were because of dental property, because that was quite a new business. Not many people knew about it. So that was more to do with credibility, and also to use as incentive. To book our course, you get the book for free, etc. It's more like a really expensive business card. Then you've got the nick for it, and then what happened was the other books, it was just more passion, and also like you guys know, if you're teaching or writing anything, you actually learn a lot more. So the facial aesthetic books, especially the marketing book, Let Go to Handbrake, I learned so much because I was researching, testing stuff, seeing what was working, what's not working. So the actual latter books are more selfish reasons, were to actually improve myself, to get more knowledge.
Yeah, I know. But it was very, it was interesting to see on the one website or the page that I landed on. You had the Botox next to your building, your property business and your facial aesthetics building. And then for the next 6 days, I never stopped getting retargeted by whoever's doing your Facebook stuff. Who's doing your Facebook stuff?
Some company in South Africa.
So no one over here. So you go.
Yeah, sometimes it's you get much. It's much cheaper per hour over there.
Actually,
we're going to say India there, but South Africa's even.
And so, what marketing avenues then, other than the ones you've talked about, do you use? You do Facebook, you Google. What's your marketing avenues for for both patients and for your courses?
So for patients, we don't actually do much marketing because the good thing about facial aesthetics is it's naturally repeat business. So as you know, Botox will only last 3 to 4 months, fillers 9 to 12 months, and they are hooked, so they will keep on coming back.
You
So
send reminders.
Sorry? Yeah.
You send reminders. By the way, is your Botox coming
No,
back?
actually, what we do, we control the book. We always pre-book their next appointment, so we never send them away. So once they've had their treatment, we go, let's book your next appointment for 4 months. The worst thing you can do is say, yeah, give us a ring once it's worn off. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months before
That's
they.
a good idea. I think I'll write that down as well.
Yeah.
So
Harry, what was the name of the filler that you mentioned? Someone's asking. The filler that you use.
Teoxane, Teoxane.
Okay, that's good. Good question. Why do you do by syringe and area and commoditize rather than value added regarding expertise?
Yeah, so we do a mixture of both. So we do have packages in terms of, so to get the patients in, we do have a price per area or price per filler, because that's what people are used to get patients in. But then we do the full face approach. Then we don't charge by the syringe or by the area. We go, okay, for the result that you want, this is the price for, so let's say, for example, we're going to end up 4 syringes for cheeks, lips, nasal labels. We won't charge per mil. We go, that's our contour package, which is $2,000. Yeah, but to get them in, yeah, in the ideal world, you would want the packages or charge, as I said, charge by the skill, not the mil. But to get patients in, we found is to get them in by charging units, areas, and then once they're in the practice is to convert them and talk about packages and full face packages and not charging by units or mil.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Have you had any bad results?
Yeah. I said, look at my face. So,
I think you look lovely, mate.
So what? Yeah, everyone's going to get cases of ptosis. So the good thing with fillers is you see the results straight away, so you can control it. So that's why a lot of dentists like that, because that artistic nature. With Botox or toxin, you have to wait 2 weeks. So in the first few years, we did have cases of ptosis or tooth frozen. Then I modified my technique. That's what we teach our delegates. It's safe, predictable. So we do underdose with Botox because you can add to it, you can't take it away. So that's the critical part. And also you have to explain to the patient you're underdosing, because if you don't tell the patient, they'll come back in 2 weeks and say, what did you use? Did you over dilute it, or was it cheap Botox, or the results I want? So as long as you explain to the patients, we're underdosing you, we offer a free top-up, so when you come back in 2 weeks time, if we need more, it's free of charge. And that is, you'll get both safety, not any bad results, and 2, patient satisfaction as well.
What if it's the other way around, that you've done the treatment and they come back 10, 14 days later saying it hasn't worked, nothing's happened?
Yeah, so obviously it's very, very rare to get true resistance. I think I've got over 1,000 patients, and I think it's 3 out of those, so 0.3% that are resistant, truly resistant. Always never ever inject anyone without before photos, because it's a bit like teeth. Once they get used to it, so after 2 weeks, they don't think anything's changed. They go, actually, we've had cases like that. We get 1 a week saying, can't see any difference. Show them before pictures. They go, oh my God, I forgot what I used to look like. So never inject anyone without before photos.
With the Botox, like when you're doing the photos, you tell them to lift their eyebrows, smile, frown, take photos like that, or just relaxed?
Yeah, both. And I'll say, take it with a proper camera, get consistent lighting, background. So yeah, we take full face relax, then full face raising eyebrows, frowning, relaxed side profile, and squinting eyes on the side as well. So yeah, both relaxed and dynamic views. And
with the 3, if you're doing 3 areas, how long would you book them in for?
So it depends if they're doing the consultation and the treatment at the same time there. So I always say, don't rush the consultation. That's when you're going to build a rapport. Because if you rush the consultation, what people do, and I used to do at the beginning, 15, 20 minutes, what you're interested in, 3 years, okay, do it. And then that's all you end up selling. You just end up being a line chaser. And what we found, the more time you spend with them, 40, 45 minutes, they open up. So during that consultation, we just keep on saying, what else, what else, what else? And I guarantee you will get 2, 3 extra areas of treatment, because they've opened up to you and you've spent time with them.
Do you
Not
charge
necessarily.
for that consultation, or what do you charge for that initial consultation?
No, so for facial aesthetics, we should charge for our dental consultations. I do it free because we get a 98% conversion rate. Because the facial aesthetic patient, they've already done their research. They know the treatment, Botox or fillers. They actually want it. They just want to make sure you're credible, they can trust you, and what results you can achieve and the price. So it's not like dental patients where you've got to talk about implants, crowns, bridges. They don't know what they want. They actually know what they want. It's just obviously that credibility that you need to build up. So what we find, 98% conversion rate, there's no need to charge because we know we're going to convert them.
And do you do the treatment on that day? So would you, after that 45 minutes and they wanted Botox, would you provide that treatment then?
Depending on the patient, that's a really good question. So like in surgical cosmetic procedures, you have to offer a cooling off period. You cannot treat the patient the same day. They're looking at that for non-surgical, which is Botox fillers. If the patients come by themselves, they've been fully informed and they're keen, I would do the treatment on the same day. If they're quite young, I'd say 18 to 22, especially the lip filler patients, I'll let them think about it. I won't treat them on the same day. Or if a group of ladies have come together, let's say it's 3 of them, 2 look really keen, but one's not too sure, I'll say to the third one, okay, don't have anything done today, come back in 2 weeks' time, think about it. So you just got to be really careful because there is selective treatment, not to push anyone having a treatment on the same day.
Is there something about where you have to order the specific Botox for that patient? So would that be a problem?
Yeah, very good question. You guys know your stuff. There, not just teeth. There. So there's 2 bits. So fillers. So I'll start with Botox. So Botox is a prescription-only medicine. So there's 2 ways you can order it. So the good thing is doctors and dentists and nurse prescribers, we can hold stock. Actually, no, sorry, medical nurses can't hold stock. So doctors and dentists, we can hold stock. So we can order Botox via something called a signed order. So with a signed order, there's no patients. I can order 10 vials of Azelor. The only downside of that is I have to pay VAT on it. But then I've got 10 vials of Azelor in my fridge. So if the patient comes in on that day, they want the treatment, and you've done the consent and you've got time, you can treat them with one of those vials. That's not a problem. The second way to order is via private script. With the private script, what you need to do is see the patient face-to-face for a consultation, send them away, and on the private script, you write their name and address, like you're going to the doctor. The benefit of that is you pay no VAT, so you save 20%, but then you can only use that 1 vial of Azelor on that patient.
Can I order 20 vials for my lovely wife? She didn't need 20 vials, but can I still order 20 vials?
Actually, there was a case of I don't know if it was a dental doctor. He did that. He was ordering 30 vials a month for his wife, and MHRA called him saying, because it's illegal, you will get struck off. So because it's abuse of prescriptions, because that medicine is only named for that patient. If you use those on anyone else, that is a big no-no.
Who would you get off? The GDC, or who would you get struck off? Who's regulating all this?
So MHRA will say that's misuse of drugs.
Right.
Prescription name medicines, and you know what the GDC are like. They will take a dim view on that. So I know a lot of, not your listeners, because I know from people come to my course, we were told to do this, order a private script, order for 1 patient, but use the other 20 on other patients. That's illegal. The MHRA do random checks on the pharmacies. And if your record gets drawn up saying, okay, Dr. Singh, you've ordered 30 vials for this patient, the pharmacies won't let you do it anyway, because I think you can only order a maximum of 5 or 10 vials per patient. But if you're using only 1 on that patient, 9 on someone else, eventually you will get caught.
Right.
Is it the same rule with fillers as well?
So no, fillers is not a prescription name medicine. So fillers, same again, even though it's not a POM, you can still order it like Botox. So you can either order it as a signed item. So you order 10 fillers, use that on anyone else, pay the VAT, but you can put it on a script. Oh. So what you can do, Mr. Smith comes in, you can order it as a POM, even though it's not a POM, save the VAT. But the good thing with fillers, because you're using that syringe, you're not going to use that on anyone else, it's more beneficial to order fillers via a prescription, because then you save the VAT and you're not going to use that filler on anyone else anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So even though it's not a PRM, you can still order a PRM to save 20%. But normally the companies will do offer, if you buy 5 boxes, you get 1 box free, or 10 boxes, you get 2 boxes free. So you end up saving the VAT anyway.
So can you do the PO the prescription for 5 fillers and not necessarily use all 5 on that person, or is that illegal?
That's illegal as well. So anything you write on a private script, you can, because you have to put the patient's name and address, you can only use that medicine on that patient.
Right, that's brilliant. Excellent. That's great bit of advice, Harry. That's superb.
Is another interesting question. Is it right if you have a registered pharmacy, you can get better rates for products? There's a training center up north that uses this model. Did you know about them?
Yeah, I inquired because my wife's a pharmacist. I inquired with the suppliers, manufacturers to open my own pharmacy, but the amount of quantity you have to order was just ridiculous. They wanted me to buy, I don't know, 10,000 vials of Azalor per month. I know the facial steamers are quite bad, but they're not that bad. So I knew I couldn't use all those up there. So unless they're buying massive quantity, the big companies like Allergan, Galderma won't deal with you. But the big pharmacies like Church Pharmacy, MedFX, Bigelow Medical, they are very reasonably priced. You'd have to compare the price to that pharmacy to whichever the one they're talking about in the north is. But you're not going to get much price difference unless they're ordering massive quantities.
See, I get this a lot from dentists. I say, do you think females are better placed to get trust from patients at risk of being sexist? Males might feel a little bit uncomfortable. I know you wouldn't, but other dentists.
Yeah, because I always wear a dress when I'm treating my patients.
There you go.
So I'm fine. Yes and no. Obviously, yeah, you can't generalize. I've found some really good female practitioners, some really good male practitioners. It always comes down, as you guys know, why are you doing it? So we'll get a male dentist or even a female dentist coming to the court, and we say, why are you doing facial surgery? They go, oh, everyone in my town's doing it. I'm missing out on all this money. They are not going to make it work because they haven't got that passion, that interest in it. So once they reach that first obstacle, they're going to give up there. So as long as you're passionate about it and patients see you're passionate, it actually makes no difference if you're male or female or in between, you will still do a good job.
Okay. I think you've given really, really sound advice. I know I want to talk a bit about property as well. I mean, do you mind if we sort of shift over a bit? Because there's a massive question that I want to know, and I think a couple of people have put the question forward, is owning your own property as a dental practice. Now, I've done a fair few squats in my time, and I've usually bought the building. What's your advice with regard to squats, owning the property rather than leasing the property or putting it into a pension? Or do you know, have you got any tips that you can give the young dentists coming along, setting up whether they should buy the property, lease it, or whatever? You know, what's your wisdom? Pass it over.
So obviously, first I've got to do a disclaimer. I'm not an accountant, so I can't give any financial advice. This is my personal experience.
I love the fact that you had to do that there. That's a shame, isn't it?
Like you, Grant, I've opened numerous squats and I've always bought the freehold because I'm a property person. Because when you do the sums, it ends up the mortgage you pay on your loan is actually cheaper than the rent you would have paid if you were leasing it there. So I'm a property person, so I love to own the freehold because if I sell the dental goodwill practice, I will still keep the freehold because you've got this. Dentists are very stable tenants. You can see, I was listening to a webinar this morning. The high street is changing, and it was a commercial property surveyor, and they were getting the only commercial property they would recommend are dentists, doctors, etc., because we are very stable tenants. We don't move because we don't want to move because our patients don't like it, and not many dentists go bankrupt or close the business down. So personally, I would look at owning the property, buying the freehold, because even if you sell the business, you've got a stable tenant. That could be your pension fund there. Obviously, there are tax benefits of buying. Obviously, the young guys probably won't have a big pension pot, but if you have, then obviously look into TASH and SIPs, where you can buy commercial property via your pension fund. So I always like to be in control of my money. So I never rely on pension advisors, financial advisors. It's like having a kid, giving your kid to someone, newborn baby, giving it to someone you don't know, say, look after my child. And in 18 years' time, they bring it back and go, okay, and the child's like a rebel and yob. No one's going to look after your kid better than you do. You may not know how to look after your kid at the beginning, but you'll learn. Your money is like your kid. You got to learn how to look after it. No one's going to be more passionate, interest, care about your money than you are. Learn investment strategies, finances, savings, etc., and be in control of your own money.
How, I think, there's more and more of my clients just now are having problems with regard to getting loans from the bank. Now, it's one thing going and saying, look, can I have 100 grand to kit out a couple of surgeries and a reception? And then, oh, by the way, can I have another £600,000 for the property? That is becoming a big problem, the getting a loans from the bank. Have you got any tips about that? How these new dentists can sort of rock up without relying on the bank and mum and dad, which, a lot of people are having to get guarantors from their parents. I mean, what tips have you got to try and help or give advice to the new dentists that are coming along who want to build squats, and not necessarily buy into a practice, which I presume is a bit easier now?
Yeah, a couple of things is, the traditional, when we was opening squats, we would go to traditional banks, Lloyds, NatWest, those kind of people. And what I'm finding is the smaller banks that I've got accounts with, Metro Bank and Starling, they're much more flexible. So they will be more accessible for loans because they're quite new to the party. They want to lend money out there. And also, I think it was Metro, they had a massive clear out of all their debt. So they've got loads of spare money to lend out. So buy your smaller business banks up. I've got business bank accounts with Metro, Starling, and I found them a lot more approachable, more flexible. Look at grants. There's so many grants available. Not you, Grant, but some grants in terms of loans.
All right, there's only one of me, mate. There's only one of me.
And I was saying, actually, I was saying, so go to this. You'll have your local business hubs. So we got Hertfordshire Growth Business Hub, and they just gave me £6 grand for IT and website on one phone call.
And what's the phone number to them?
All right, come on, let's write this down. You're gonna be in Hertfordshire, though.
Yeah, obviously that's Hertfordshire, so you got to have a business in Hertfordshire, but each region will have a growth business hub, and they were saying there's loads of grants. They were saying there's up to 100,000 grant if you employ 2 people by expanding your business. I go, okay, I'll take that 100 grand. I'm not going to be paying those 2 staff 100 grand combined, so that's extra income. And
where do you find this? You like Google what? What do you?
So what I'll do is Google your town, or your county, and ours is called Hertfordshire Business Growth Hub. So just Google your county business growth hub. There are so many grants available. It's amazing.
Okay.
No one does it. There's a good question here. How do you feel about the buy-to-let market nowadays? Do you feel that the taxation rules have changed to make it not such an attractive proposition?
And how do you get on that process?
So yeah, definitely. So every time there's restrictions, there's opportunities. As Warren Buffett said, be fearful when everyone is greedy, be greedy when everyone is fearful. So we had a lot of people go out the buy-to-let market with the tax changes. So we just bought properties with limited companies. You still get the tax benefit. So if people don't know, you've got Section 24 that happened about a few years ago. So normally what used to happen is you had a buy-to-let property. Let's say your rent was £1,000 a month and your mortgage was £500 a month. Your profit's 500, you would only be taxed on the 500. What happened with Section 24 is they abolished that tax relief on mortgage interest. So if your rent was £1,000 and your mortgage was 500, they said ignore the 500. You're going to get taxed on 1,000. They would take 20% tax credit, so you basically get taxed on 800 quid, even though you've got more, even though you're only making £500 profit. So the cash flow wasn't adding up. But with limited companies, you can still claim 100% of the mortgage interest. So if you bought that property within a limited company, the £1,000 rent minus your £500 mortgage, you'll still only be taxed on the 500. Yeah. So what's everyone doing is buying under limited companies, and it's a lot more lenders in the market because buy-to-let mortgage lenders are in the business of lending. So they had to change their protocol policies to allow lending to limited companies. So all the lenders I know are happy to lend to a limited company.
Are the interest rates higher slightly though on a limited company borrowing?
Some are, depends on your mortgage broker. So we've got some deals where the limited rate is actually exactly the same. Is maybe because the number of properties I've got, they just want to keep me as a customer. I would say in worst case scenario, you'd be paying 1% higher. compared to a buy-to-let. But as long as you've got a broker that looks at the whole of market, so the brokers that sometimes are limited to what they see will have limited lenders that will be higher. But if it's a whole of market, you should be able to get away with either exactly the same rate as a sole trader buy-to-let, or maybe 0.25, 0.5%, worst case scenario higher.
If you had like 50 grand put into a property, say you've got that for a deposit, what sort of value would you put that against, if you get what I mean, as a deposit? I mean, would you, when you buy somewhere, like a buy-to-let, do you put a massive deposit in, or do you put a smaller one in? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Yeah. It depends what your goal is. So some people only want 1 or 2 properties, and their personalities, they're not conservative, they don't like debt, or they don't like big mortgages. If you want to be a property investor and grow your portfolio, you want to put the minimal amount in. So, but I don't mean minimum like 5-10% deposit. I'll say 20% deposit. That's a safety net.
So do you want the rent to cover that, the mortgage?
Yeah, so when you do a 20% deposit, and your investment area, you need something that's got a gross yield of 6%. So the gross yield is the annual rent divided by the market value, and you need that to be 6%. If it's less than
rent divided by
the market value.
Market value.
I remember you said this many years ago, the 6% figure. So you're still looking at 6%, and things have changed since it's still 6%.
Yeah, still 6%, because the interest rates haven't changed too much. If interest rates go up, say by 1%, then we'll increase it to 7%. But that 6% yield will cover you loads with the mortgage. You'll have good cash flow. So that's my buy-to-let strategy. So where people go wrong, they invest in the wrong area, further away, or they're local and the yield doesn't stack up. You're not going to make any cash flow. So you need to do a 6% yield. And then with a 6% yield, you can get away with a 20% deposit, and your rent will easily cover by 130% your mortgage payment.
Cool. That's bloody brilliant. I love that. Right, I'm going to use
it. Then you'll know what area to invest.
Hey?
You'll know what area to invest in, what area not to invest in. It's a quick calculation.
Yeah. And so what areas do we invest in now? Everything's going to go tits up in about 3 months.
Well, according to experts, it's not that bad there. So we're predicting, no one knows. If anyone says to you, I know what's going to happen in the property market, run a mile, because they're full of BS. So,
well, I know they're all moving from where Jazz lives to where I live, because everyone here is, they all don't want to get COVID.
That's a different reason.
Yeah.
Devon and Somerset are going like that, apparently.
Yeah.
London.
Yeah. So, it all depends on what happens with stamp duty exemption. So the chances, obviously, given the property market like a can of Red Bull, he stimulated it by getting rid of stamp duty. So all these people are buying it, they end up actually paying more than the saving, but that's emotional marketing for them. If the stamp duty is abolished, say end of March, then we do expect a slight dip, but then Q3 and 4 to actually grow, because compared. So where property market is, you've got to look at the affordability. Its interest rates are so low, and banks will be lending money. If the Chancellor extends the stamp duty exemption, then we expect not a dip to be in Q2, a continued rise in Q2 and 3, and then when the stamp duty exemption ends, a slight dip. So where last year we was thinking there's going to be recession, we're not. We did have a recession, but it wasn't a financial recession. It was obviously a COVID recession. We don't expect there to be a massive drop in property prices for this year.
All right. A lot of people were saying they expected a 20-30% drop, but you don't feel that's going to happen then?
No, from the evidence now, I was expecting the same last year, and I was waiting for the opportunities, but not at what's happening now is no.
So a lot of people I know are sitting and they're waiting with cash in the bank to let the prices drop, and then they're going buy.
Yeah. There will be a slight drop after stamp duty exemption, but it won't be 20-30%. It'll be about 5%. So, and buy to let is, if you've got the money for buy to let, just buy it, because it's long. You're keeping it for 20-30 years. You cannot predict or guess where the market is going to be. Just do it. But the best time to buy was 20 years ago. Second best time to buy is today.
Yeah,
that's a great way of looking at it. Not in 20 years' time. Buy now. That's the way to do it, I think.
Do you know, I've learned loads tonight.
I've got a big list of. I've got a notepad here. I've written it all down, but it's all being recorded, so they can hear it all again. So
that's absolutely awesome. Do you have any more questions there, Jazz, from the panel?
Couple ones. So this is going back to Botox now. I'm aware that you can't use the term Botox when marketing. What terminology have you used that is best understood by the public? The suggested anti-wrinkle, facial aesthetics.
Quite a posh question that was, wasn't it? Was it Shakespeare that asked you that question? So so they rightly said Botox. You cannot advertise any PRM to the general public. There. So what you need to do, the ASAs want you to emphasize the consultation. So the wording that they say you can use is in their blue book. Says we offer anti-wrinkle treatments only after a face-to-face consultation with a medical practitioner. You're allowed to say that. So we offer anti-wrinkle treatments only after a face-to-face consultation with a medical practitioner. So you cannot have any price guides, before and after pictures on your homepage, social media, newspaper ads, flyers. You have to emphasize the consultation. Once they're coming for the consultation, in theory, you can say what you like and show them what you want.
That is so useful. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean,
and what happens is people are, sorry, Just, and people, they say MHR, they're not proactive, they're reactive. And the only time they'll find it is when someone grasses you up. And by the way, I love being grassed up because that means you're doing well. If you never get grassed up, you're not doing well enough.
Love it. No, that makes sense as well. You were talking about PG level 7. Is that something you do as well?
No, we were looking at it. We did offer level 7, but there was rumors that it was going to become compulsory, but they've backtracked on that. And I think there's too many people doing facial aesthetics like me. Even I'm not level 7 qualified.
You want to explain what it is to the listeners, if you just maybe explain it first.
Yeah, so level 7 is a voluntary qualification that is basically a waste of money there. So it'll cost you a lot of money. I've never had a patient ask about level 7. It's not going to attract you more patients. It's not going to become compulsory for a while. If any qualification does become compulsory, they're going to give you, it's a bit like orthodontics. They'll give you 3 to 5 years, and also they'll use a grandfather scheme. If you've had enough experience in doing it, they're not going to make me do level 7 again, or I'll call it whatever it's called then. So I would say, and the experience you get is not that great. I would say do a course, look at workshops where you've got lots of hands-on. That's going to hold you much better. That money you save, spend that on marketing.
Yeah, that makes a lot.
When's your next course, Harry? When's your next course for the listeners?
We don't know because no lockdown. We can't do anything at the moment. There, so the clinic's closed because obviously we only do facial aesthetics. Training-wise, the hotel did say we could open, but I think it's ethics because you got 1,600 people dying every day. Why would I want to get people out their home and safety net? So we're just waiting, and then obviously rumors are the lockdown's going to be extended until Easter. So I expect May to June time. But yeah, we were doing about 20 workshops a month. It was really popular.
You were doing a lot,
especially with the young dentists. Yeah.
I think most courses are starting back again in about April time. That's when things are getting it back to normal, I think.
Yeah.
Have you had your vaccine yet?
I have.
I haven't, no.
I've had my first
tomorrow.
Yours is tomorrow. I've had my first dose. Next
I was gonna qualify your question by going, which vaccine?
Which one are you going to go for? Pfizer or the other one, Oxford one? But I don't think you're going to get a choice. Have we got more questions? No, I think that was the last one. Yep, that's nothing. Yeah, I think we've answered. We're getting some great compliments from you, Harry. And no one's dropped out. So, you did very well. I think everyone's really enjoyed that.
Harry, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. I always
thank you for the invitation.
But it has been lovely to meet you sort of in person.
Yeah. I think I met you a couple of years ago at the Croydon dental seminars.
Yes. That was I talking at the time, so I'm probably a bit nervous.
You were talking, and I walked past you, and you go, 2 poppadoms, please.
You really don't want to meet Harry in the bar because he can really put it away. So keep away from him.
Well, Well, a big thank you. Jazz,
Yeah.
lovely to see you again tonight. Thanks, Harry. Brilliant stuff.
You've been fantastic,
why you
as
invited me.
always. Very informative. That's what we're getting. Some fantastic marketing tips as well. I've noted quite a few stuff down. So thank you so much. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you all for listening in. And we are on the last Monday of every month. So we're going to have another special guest next month, and we'll post all about it. But you do need to register beforehand because Grant's too tight on upgrading his Zoom account.
That's me.
That's
All right,
right.
guys. Good night. Thanks.
All right, guys. Good
Thanks a
night.
lot.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Take
Jazz.
care.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.